This is Morten from English, and I have the honor of being the moderator and the host of this Tecnau event in association with Ricoh in Boulder, Colorado, the US. And as you can hear, I'm not American. I apologize for that already. I wish I was, but I'm not. So, but today we are going to have a very interesting presentation of some really good equipment from Ricoh and from Tecnau. And before we get into all the tech things, and we also have some questions before, let's introduce some of our guests here. So Jeff, why don't you start introducing yourself?
Great, thanks Morten. Welcome everyone. I'm Jeff Kewen. I'm the president of Tecnau for the Americas and Asia Pacific. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Fantastic. That was swift, I must say. So Mike and Phil, are you as swift as Jeff are, or is it just because he's out of Chicago that he can manage it so fast, or how do you think about that?
Well, I'm sure we can add a few more words to what Jeff said, but thank you everybody for joining us here. And Mike and I, we're here in our customer experience center in Boulder. Phil Self. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Ricoh. I have responsibility for all of our inkjet product set and our software and our strategic solutions portfolio that we take to market. And just looking forward to a great hour with you guys down there in Tecnau. So thank you for inviting us along, and thanks to our customers for attending.
Great. Okay. And who were you with? I didn't get the name. Was that Mike or Phil, or I didn't hear that?
This is Phil, and Mike over to Mike.
Mike, you have to say something yourself. We can't ask anybody to.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, thanks, Morten. Appreciate the kickoff this morning. Thanks for joining us from Europe as well too. It's nice to have a little international flair. Obviously,
always fun, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And thanks to Jeff Kewen and the Tecnau team as well. This is a great opportunity for us to showcase all of our equipment with the Tecnau team, and a great partnership that we've had for a long time with Tecnau. And so my name is Mike Harold. I'm the Director of Global Marketing. I've been involved in our production inkjet business, and we're going to highlight some of those solutions for you today. But I've been involved in that part of our business really since we started back in 2007, and it's been such a fun ride to develop these solutions, to watch what customers have done with it, and of course, watch what great partners like Tecnau have done with their solutions to support us and the customers as well too. So we're excited you're here with us today, and we're looking forward to taking you through some of this great technology for the next hour and a half.
Fantastic, and I can't help think about it. Must also be fun to work in a company that is essentially a market leader, right?
Yes, that does help. That makes it fun for sure.
I thought so. So.
Yeah.
Jeff, I think that, I mean, there's been so many webinars during the pandemic, of course, both in the US and Europe. And I'm just wondering, what is the idea behind the Tecnau Spring event?
Well, and as you've said, there's been a tremendous number of seminars, virtual events, and we wanted to do something a bit different. You know, over the last year and a half with the pandemic, and what a disaster it's been around the world, right? You know, we've all had to adapt to new ways of doing business, and no different for Ricoh and Tecnau. Business travel has stopped or been significantly curtailed. You know, we're no longer allowed to visit customers. You know, customers have been shut down for long periods of time, or some have even closed. And so we've adapted. Ricoh, Tecnau, you know, we found new ways to engage customers. Virtual events are now commonplace. We do them, as Mike said earlier, almost every day, and quite successful. But we've recognized that, you know, there's been something missing. And that missing part is really the full experience of doing an end-to-end demonstration for a customer. You know, today, when we do a virtual demonstration, you know, customers would go to Ricoh or go to Tecnau, and they get to see the print technology or technology, but they don't get a chance to experience the entire solution, you know, starting with a roll of paper and finishing with a final product. And the workflow, get to experience the things, how paper flows. So what we wanted to do today was provide that experience with an end-to-end solution with our partner Ricoh, And we're going to show you that over a variety of different solutions. And I think you're going to be excited with what you see today.
I am already excited because I saw some of the European sessions this morning, so I can tell to the audience there is something to look forward to. What you're talking about here, Jeff, is also relating a little bit to the next question I have, because I mean, one thing is that the pandemic forces us to use other kind of communication tools like webinars and Zoom meetings and things like that. But it's also kind of trend that you see the market is changing, not from a communication perspective, but also in relation to how print is used and how we use personalization, all that things. What is your opinion about the trends in the print market?
Sure. Well, there's, the printing market in general has gone through a tremendous number of changes, right? And those changes are continuing at a faster and faster pace. But one thing that's been consistent has been this drive towards a personalized experience, and I call it on-demand fulfillment, right? You see print quantities are declining, and you see people demanding more from the printed documents that they receive. They want something different, and to be competitive, they have to be able to provide both of those things, and I would even say relevant. If you can't provide that personalized experience that people demand, I don't think you're relevant, because print has become the bridge between the digital world and the physical world. And you see it in many industries today, right? The entertainment industry. We have streaming video, and you push a button and music is delivered to your house or your device in seconds. You see it in manufacturing. We send drawings to our partners or internally, parts 3D printed, delivered to our facility within hours or the next day. E-commerce, who hasn't ordered something from Amazon, right? It used to be when you ordered for Amazon, it would be delivered in 3 days. Now 1 day, now in some cases, even 2 hours. It's different in print. It really started in the 90s with personalized direct mail. You have the same thing with the book on demand market, right? And we see these trends continuing, but at an accelerated pace. And, that's really being driven by the technology that you see folks like Ricoh and Tecnau developing. I mean, we're both investing tremendous amounts in, you look further on the print side, you could see that, look at the advancements that have been made in high quality variable print inkjet, media, the media that can be supported today from a print perspective. You can print on things that 5 years ago you never thought could be printed. From a pre and post standpoint, again, we have the ability to handle a variety of different media, provide many types of finishing in the same line, as well as full automation, deterministic setups. So we see that trend continuing, but even at a more accelerated pace. And you really have to continue to invest, be relevant in the market in the future.
I can tell to the audience that what Jeff was talking about here is basically some of the things that we will see in just a few minutes. But before we do that, Mike and Phil, you said that you were in your experience center in Boulder, in Colorado. Can you explain? I mean, I was just thinking, Jeff, you must be so jealous that you don't have a Tecnau experience center in the US, right? Because you only have one in Italy right now. But Ricoh, they have an experience center in Boulder. So what do you do there, and how is it used, and how will you use it into the presentations today? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, Morten. Yeah, thank you for throwing it back over to us. And you didn't mention that right on cue. We've got samples coming out of the machine, Morten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. But it's because I can only see a thumbnail, so I should wear glasses if I should see everything.
Oh, gotcha.
Well,
okay.
Maybe I'm blocking it. Mike, shall I just talk a little bit about what we do here?
Yeah, go for it.
Please.
So this is our US Experience Center, as Morten said. It's absolutely pivotal to our marketing, to our sales, and a little bit sometimes with our development resource as well. But essentially, this is the focal point for all of our inkjet business here in the US. A lot of briefings are virtual. In fact, we ran an in-person event in January 2020. Little did we know that that was probably going to be the only in-person inkjet event, and supported that with Tecnau, who supported us there. It was a wonderful event. We had no idea that that really was going to be the only event in person pretty well in the year. Right? Yeah. Absolutely, and that was last January. But essentially, the Experience Center here, a lot of it is printing samples for our clients. You know, they have very high demands of the output and the quality that we're able to produce. So a lot of the remit here on equipment like our VC70,000 here is producing the custom samples for our clients so that they can do an evaluation. But of course, and as Jeff alluded to earlier, it's a very much a physical thing, and customers actually, they do prefer to come and see it in person. So this environment here is very much geared up for not only doing virtual briefings, print samples, and obviously the virtual briefings have accelerated and expanded and, dare I say it, become a lot more professional over the course of the last 15, 18 months. But really, this is all about customers coming here, being able to meet, greet Ricoh, really talk about their business, what they're trying to achieve with a project. We link that into our capabilities, not only physical equipment. Inevitably, this is the draw here because we can't lift one of these up and take it out on the back of a truck to do a demonstration. But inevitably, we're able to have professional workshops, a little bit of a consulting engagement where we really understand their business, we listen to them, we then take their feedback and we then architect into a formal briefing where we know that we're going to address all of the points that they're looking for, which of course, very, very often, more often than not, includes extensive time on in front of the equipment, looking at their jobs, how the press operates, how we tune the jobs in, how we optimize them, and sometimes not just how we optimize them, but how we make them as cheap as possible to run, as well as getting the best out of it. So it really is the experience center, the customer experience center, where we're very broad in terms of what we offer it. And very rarely, Morten, very rarely has a client made an investment for their business in a piece of equipment this size when they've not spent extensive time here, or at an absolute minimum looking at the output and the deliverables that the quality people make from here. So I hope that answers that question for you.
That was a great answer. This morning, I spoke to your colleague in the UK, Clyde, about something that I would like to ask you about, which I think is very important in the same perspective. And that is, I think that when you listen to what you say, and I can see also the passion, even though it's like a webcam kind of thing, right? It's you see the passion and the kind of like the constant innovation that you see with Ricoh in developing we're going to talk about the print heads, I take care. We're going to, I mean, we see output, we see production. This DNA that Clive spoke about, is that also something that you live in Boulder, so to speak?
Well, we're very, Mike, do you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, so it absolutely is, Morten. It's a big part of the DNA here in Boulder, and it has been from the beginning. So I think one of the real nice things we have about the Experience Center here in Boulder is the fact that it's directly connected to our R&D team as well. So on this site, we've got a few hundred engineers that are involved in some of these customer activities that Bill just talked about, and listening to customers, taking that back into the lab, working with the team here in the CEC to continue to refine, continue to innovate, continue to improve these solutions, continue to look for ways to partner and extend those partnerships with companies like Tecnau as well too. And so it really is the fabric of the DNA. And I can speak to that personally because I started in the R&D organization here on site. I won't say how many years ago, but a few years ago, before joining marketing and then helping manage this production inkjet business worldwide. So it is a wonderful opportunity for us to bring customers through the facility, to have our engineers, to have the technical team here in the center, interact with them, and then that just continues to feed this constant cycle of innovation and improvement and new solutions that we're able to bring to the marketplace for improved value for customers.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, I'm sure that you can talk forever, but you are not allowed to. Now we're going to see some technology in progress. Before we do that, I have a little housekeeping here, because basically when we now have, it's a live presentation, but there's also some videos mixed into it. When the screen is maximized, if you just double click it or exit the maximized window, then you will be able to see both the video and the speaker. So that is something that I of course recommend, because they are not so ugly, so you can do that without fear, right? And I just want to also just fill in a little, it's not a commercial for English, but I just want to say that to the guys in the US, we did a wonderful film from a VC 70,000 customer last week that soon will be on English. So for everybody who wants to see how it works in operation, it is soon on English. So I hope that a lot of people would like to see that. And now I will ask the Tecnau team. We're going to talk to Pete about the Tecnau Innovations Experience Center. Sorry, there's so many names for these centers. So the Tecnau Experience Center. So Pete, why don't you take it away?
Very good. Thank you, Morten.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pete Dolphus. I'm the VP of Sales for Tecnau Americas. I'd like to welcome you to our just opened 16,000 square foot Tecnau Experience Center, adjacent to our headquarters in Ivrea, Italy, where we showcase a diverse assortment of Tecnau's industry-leading solutions and where we perform customer demonstrations and application validation, both virtual and in person. As you enter the warm and inviting lobby, we have a meeting area with refreshments, as well as individual private offices so you can stay current with your day-to-day business activities while on site as our guest. Here in the demonstration area, you're viewing our Stack 1212 system that processes B2 sized input sheets into finished product sizes as small as 4x6 with full bleed edges, as well as job offsetting for ease of operator handling. Panning to the right is the new Revolution 50 series high-speed rotary cutting solution. The platform has ultimate application flexibility for processing anything and everything, from 27-pound offset Bible applications to 30-inch long pharmaceutical jobs, to 4-up 12-point cardstock direct mail pieces, to one-off cut sheet or plow-folded book blocks for perfect binding, and much more. Equipped with an optional bypass bridge, it can also be used to feed single sheets in line to a signature folder or saddle stitcher. Now you're viewing our zero-speed splicing Roll 40 solution, where the dual unwind U40 with splicing tower and buffer, in combination with the dual rewind R40, can essentially make your Ricoh press a nonstop production workhorse, adding up to 20% productivity versus running it with a single unwind and rewind. The system also showcases one of our TC1550HS processors. Processor family can do dynamic perforating, scoring, and punching for various applications, from spiral or coil binding to 3-hole punch, and even corner punching and shaping, all with page-to-page variability at speeds up to 800 feet a minute. Next is our TC7000 based photo ready system. The 7000 platform is a lower cost of entry servo-driven guillotine cutting platform. It excels at producing laminated heavyweight book covers, heavy multi-up cardstock applications, photo prints, and other types of specialty work, but can also be used for applications as simple as 2-up slip merge statement processing. Next, you see the industry flagship Libre 800 bookmaking system, which takes pre-printed rolls and processes them into finished perfect bound and trimmed books. It has input options for 2-up slip merge, 2-up, 3-up, and 4-up plow folded input, and a manual feeding station for work that comes off other production lines, like a cut sheet press. It can also produce 3 different cover types: regular soft cover, a gate folded cover, and even a custom manufacturer combined end sheet cover that is bound onto the book in preparation for case binding. I'll be taking you on a deeper dive of this solution later in the session. Here you see one of our newest offerings, our Robo, which is a robotic stacking solution that automatically transfers output from the conveyor onto a pallet or into a material handling cart for ease of transport to a secondary finishing operation. It's processing output from a revamped 500 series cutting system. Our 500 series platform offers mid-speed rotary single knife cutting up to 450 feet a minute and has been such a staple in our product line that we've freshened up the platform, offering a 22-inch wide version that's more pertinent to today's inkjet presses. In the same general speed category as the 500 series is our Stack 2320 system. This is a dual knife rotary cutter offering chip out capability for customers in the 420 foot per minute press speed range who need substrate capability up to 250 GSM. We'll now return to the new Revolution 50 cutter system. We took what's great about the 20 series platform with respect to ease of use, application flexibility, etc., and made it fantastic. Everything is more robust. Substrate range and stack lengths are expanded. We've utilized new drives and controls that support IoT connectivity and much more. With that brief introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Chris Wilhelm, who will take you through this new cutter platform in greater detail.
Good morning, everybody. I have the privilege of spending about the next 15 minutes with you talking about the Revolution series cut line, and we'll kind of go through each of the components as we go down. But the technology, as Pete mentioned, is very robust. It's built to handle more throughput. It's able to handle higher speeds of 590 feet a minute. Those speeds are similar to what you find on the Ricoh VC40,000. I think I've lost camera connection there a little bit. As we continue to make it down the line, you'll kind of see the full length of the walkthrough before. As I mentioned, full, faster, wider range of media types and weights, including coated and uncoated substrates. We'll kind of go down and walk through each of the components now, starting with the U9 unwinder. As I mentioned, the U9 unwinder was designed to run at higher speeds to keep up with the Ricoh VC40,000, which will run at 590 feet a minute, which we have installed at several customers. As we get into the demo a little bit later, you'll see that we're going to be running a 3-up automotive postcard. The U9 unwinder is able to handle a wide range of substrates up to 300 GSM, and it's able to do that through programmable tension inside the actual device. So it allows you to easily switch between papers without having to make any true modifications to the system. One thing you'll notice throughout as we walk down the line that all the paper is under tension, and that tension is key in maintaining registration throughout the line, and those accuracies of producing nice sharp corners on your papers. You'll notice in the buffer itself, the increased diameter of the rollers, that's used to handle a wider range of substrates, again, up to that 300 GSM mark. Here, it's been redesigned in a lower profile to make it easier for the operator to access compared to our previous, which was a little bit taller. Once it leaves the buffer, it goes into our web steering device, and this is actually keeping track of the web, and it can center justify, left or right justify, but ensures that the paper coming out is going to be going as straight as possible going into the actual cutting device itself. Now, when we come in here, if we open the lids a little bit, hopefully we can do that. We'll be able to take a look at the internals. This is the merger device. We're not utilizing that and for this particular application because it is a post-art application, but it has the capability of doing a slit merge, and it's left over right or right over left. You'll notice that there's hand controls on the outside, which allows the operator to make fine adjustments to things like the camera or down into the knives on the lower section when you get into the cutter. What's unique about this is that there's actually a hole punch cartridge that's in there. So when you do slit merge and you require a chip out, it's able to extract that strip cut out very easily. We come down into the cutter, which in this case is a C52. We offer 2 models, C52 being the dual knife model that you would utilize for full bleeds or making a chip out of purge lines and those types of things based on the head maintenance you might have on the system. From the cutter, we'll go down into the knife assembly. You notice that's a cabinet of itself. You'll see 2 covers there. Those are the actual knives themselves. This assembly pulls out very easily, and we'll have some video of that a little bit later to kind of show you what that looks like. So from the cutter, you'll notice the screen there. It's full color operation for the operator. It makes it very easy for them to manage the system and work internally with the different colors on the screen. You have a web alignment component once the cut is made, feed into the actual stacker. This is our S51L stacker, which is our long stacker, and it has our newer vacuum belt system. This is ideal in the graphics arts market. where you will have very high coverage on both sides of the paper, and it will kind of eliminate or greatly reduce any type of marring when you're creating those stacks. We offer several different models of the stacker. This particular one will go up to 30 inches. It'll come out to the conveyor and you'll kind of see some of the work that we've produced. And then we will actually go from here and get into the actual live demonstration itself. So the paper that we are running is a 240 GSM Fridragoni symbol satin, and this job was printed on the VC 70,000. So when you come in and you look at the screen, it should provide you the speed the paper is running and also provide you how much time is left before the roll will need to be changed. So this looks to be running about 130 meters, and it's about 55 minutes until the roll is completely run. Now, the technology itself has lent its way into working with our different partners and the changes they've made with the presses over the years. We've had a 30-year relationship with Ricoh. Both of us have had a couple name change over the years, but as our technology partner, if you will, we make modifications and design things based on what their requirement is in, the requirements are for future production products. Here it goes in the web steering device. You'll notice the pause, the buffer will actually build paper, allow the paper to pause to make a delivery. We continue to go down the line here and notice it's bypassed the merger and then goes into the cutter stacker. The technology itself, we have installed across many different industries. So something as simple, and I'll call it as simple, is transactional type of work where they need to do a slip merge and have a single stack come out, or letter type work that's going to be going into an inserter as a single stack and get folded and inserted, to a healthcare industry customer that actually runs everything from postcards to booklets, where we have a sheet bypass that feeds an IVIS stitch line unit. So we have a lot of flexibility in what we have to offer with the Revolution series cutter, and a lot of different configuration possibilities based on the type of work that you will be running, including ensuring that you'll be able to run the widest range from letters to postcards, etc. When it makes a delivery and it comes down into the postcards, there's just another set of fingers that will actually grab the next stack to allow it to make its delivery. So you're minimizing the amount of time that the press, or I'm sorry, not the press, but the actual cut line pauses to make that delivery while the buffer builds. So here, obviously, the delivery of the 3-up stack. There are capabilities in doing offsetting. Something that's key with this product is actually doing north to south offset, which we'll see a little bit later when it's easier to stop the press and look at several different components inside the actual system itself. Here we'll go into the next component, which is one of the key designs, is IoT, or Internet of Things. This is actually keeping track of a lot of the components on the system. You have things like motors that are able to track their runnability. This utilizes a product that we have called Tecnau Connect that basically reports information that's gathered by the system through IoT and tells you how the system's running. If I'm stopped, why have I been stopped? Is it just job changeover, or is it an issue that might have happened with the cutter? IoT also allows you to connect in. So our service people are able to connect into the system and be able to help resolve something remotely instead of having a physical person come in, which actually reduces your mean time to recover from a failure, if there is one. Next, we get into the actual robotics component, as Pete mentioned a little bit earlier. It's kind of the next gen technology that we see that customers have a requirement for. In some cases, it might be hard to gather the labor that it's going to be managing the system, so you're having to do more with less. And robotics is the type of employee that always shows up. You know, they're utilized in a lot of key industries like automotive and other types of manufacturing. They always show up to work on time, and they're always ready to work. What you'll see with the actual robot is it's going to take a measurement. So that initial drop down, it should drop down and touch the top of the stack. And it's taking a measurement of how much is actually on the stack. So when it takes it and it builds the pallet, it knows how high and before it needs to make the next column. And you have capabilities of obviously, we'll have capabilities of stacking on pallets or even roll carts. So those, however you manage internally the work once it goes from manufacturing out to the next step, whether that's being palletized or going into mail trays, etc. So one of the things I'd like to go into next, Maurizio, if you can, we have some footage of some of the other unique features of the Revolution series itself. So one of the patented things we have are the north to south offset. One of the great things about north to south offset, if you look at our previous generation products like the C20, C23 products, the transport actually moves left and right to make that offset. We now have a stop plate that actually makes that adjustment, so you're able to do north and south, which provides a better stack quality and also allows you to offset fewer sheets. So quick pause here, and then we'll get into the actual knife assembly. One of the great things about the knife assembly, there's a couple key pieces. One is the ease of use. So from a service person's perspective, they get to work on a knife assembly at eye level. The weight of this thing compared to, we talk about robustness, is about 500 kilograms, 1,100 pounds compared to a 60-pound knife we had before. The knives themselves here, you'll see, are made of a hardened steel, and it'll allow you to get about 60 million cuts out of a single knife compared to previous generations where it was about 20 million. It allows operators to clear jams and those types of things much easier. So key is operation there. So now I have the opportunity, I get to pass it over to Tim and Brian in Boulder. They'll start the VC 70,000 demonstration. So thank you very much for your time, and gentlemen, good luck.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. So hopefully we're coming through okay. We're back out here in Boulder, Colorado. So I'm Tim Bolton. I'm the portfolio manager for our production inkjet systems. We're standing here in front of the Pro VC 70,000. We're going to spend a little bit of time kind of going through this, probably the next 15, 20 minutes, give you some good orientation to this. To my left is Brian Anderson. Brian leads the continuous feed inkjet team here in the Customer Experience Center, and he'll be taking us through the press. So Brian, all you.
Great. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for taking some time with us today here in Boulder. My name is Brian Anderson. I'm production marketing manager here. And as Tim said, I'm kind of the subject matter expert here for continuous feed inkjet. Quick orientation. So we're around the rear of the device. What we're going to do is talk data in, fluid in, and then we'll move kind of to the front. We'll talk feeds, speeds, all that sort of thing. So obviously I'm going to move pretty fast. So let me know if you have any questions or any comments. So over here, this is actually our control unit, right? So this is how we get data to the press. Let me open this up for you. So the way this works, first of all, this was all designed as proprietary for Ricoh, right? We're the global hub of Ricoh continuous feed inkjet here. So this was all designed and built in Boulder. So basically data will come into the head node, gets parsed out across our blade server, out to the end node, and then fiber optically back to the press, right? Now we process at a page level, not a color plane level. The reason for that, say you're running monochrome only work, right? If you assign blades just to black, then those blades are going to sit idle on the color planes if you're running monochrome work, right? So we want to do this at a page level so that we never get back hitching or slow down or anything, right? Very stout. It's designed for doing millions and millions of impressions, right? We take everything in natively, right? PDF, PostScript, AFP, all different kinds of data flows, and we're not going to do any transforms to that, okay? Now behind me here is our ink dispersal unit. There's going to be one of these per engine, right? Obviously, we run a 2-engine duplex. So we have side 1 is printing in engine 1, then we flip the web and then printing side 2 in engine 2. So each engine has its own ink dispersal unit. The way this works, 2 10-liter boxes of ink, okay? We're going to run 2 at the same time. It's going to run out of 1. When 1 empties, it's going to automatically switch to the second one and then keep running, and we can add ink on the fly because of that system. Now, Ricoh manufactured aqueous-based pigment inks in this. Now, I always get the comment that this doesn't look like very much ink, right? That's really because we've taken all the water out in manufacturing, right? So basically, the worst thing you can do to a sheet, we always joke in inkjet, is that you can flood the sheet with fluid and then you can dry it, right? That's really hard on paper. So what we wanted to do is basically take all the water out of this so we don't have to flood the sheet with a ton of fluids, right? So this is going to last a ton of time, multiple rolls. And then again, you can add ink on the fly. Importantly, there's no VOCs, no harmful chemicals, anything like that. I don't need to use gloves or anything when handling these fluids, okay? So as we move around here, I'll mention our vacuum unit here. So this is basically just a web cleaner, glorified vacuum cleaner, right? As the roll unwinds, we have dirt and debris on the roll. We want to pull that off before it goes into the engine, okay? So we'll move around to the front of the device. Obviously, Tecnau unwinder, right? Pretty simple, just has a roll loaded. We have a buffer here, and that maintains tension as the printer starts and stops, speeds up and slow down. Then we're gonna move in here and we're gonna actually go into the engine, okay? The way these devices work is on a tight web system. Drive point in the front, drive point in the rear, maintains tension on that web, and that's how we control the web when we begin to image. Okay, we come through, go through a steering unit, which guides the web in this direction, right, towards front and rear of the engine. We go through an anti-static bar to take the static out of the sheet, and then we're gonna begin imaging, right? So this device is modular, it comes in pieces, and then we bolt it all together, and then we begin printing. These are our print units. All of the print units themselves are identical. We just have a different color of ink, right? So we're going to image black, cyan, magenta, and yellow in this order. So if you want to zoom into this, these are our Ricoh manufactured Gen 5 print heads, okay? So these are stainless steel. Importantly, these are made to last, right? Manufactured to last. These are not consumable parts. They typically have a life of about 3.5 to 4 years, somewhere in there. And they're made to just be they're made to be workhorses, right? To run and run and run. The way these consist is basically 2 600 DPI modules offset by a couple microns to physically jet 1200 to the sheet, right? So feeds and speeds on this device at 150 meters per minute, we're 600 by 600 DPI to the sheet. Then at 100 meters a minute, we're going to be 1200 by 600 to the sheet, and then down to 50 meters a minute for the high quality mode, which is going to be 1200 by 1200 to the sheet, okay? I'm going to pull one of these units out so you can kind of see how this works. So within each one of these units, we have 10 print heads, little over 2 inches. You can see how they kind of stitch together, right? We have print head 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, up to 10. Basically, that allows us to print edge to edge, 20.5 inches wide with a full 54-inch max cutoff, right? Everything's been engineered so everything comes out to the front, right? This is ease of use, ease of maintenance, and ease of break fix, right? We have quick connects on all of our print heads. Everything's been made so it's easy to work on, easy to maintain. Now, you know, for those of you who aren't familiar with inkjet, right, it's like a ballpoint pen. If you leave it uncapped, it's going to dry out. So what we have under here is actually a capping station. So when we're not in use, when we're not printing, there's a capping unit comes up underneath these print heads and caps the face of those print heads. When we go to print, it comes out like a carousel, and then it moves, the print heads themselves move down over the web, and then we jet down on the sheet, okay? Maintenance is basically entirely automatic on this inkjet device, okay? The way we maintain it is basically
if we have any issues or any dust that gets on our print heads, we can actually pull some ink through those caps. And then we have a wiper blade system in the front that will wipe across the face of those print heads to maintain it. So very, very self-maintaining. As an operator, what do? Basically once a week, we keep this maintenance station clean, right? A little Q-tip, we clean off the wipers themselves. That's really all I need to do as an operator, okay? Let me close this up really quick. Now, importantly, nowadays we can actually control color registration in both directions of the web, right? So we obviously control in the web direction with timing of the print heads. Additionally, we can control side-to-side color registration, right? The way we do that is black is going to be our reference point. Then we actually monitor the side of the sheet as it moves at a micron level, and we switch which nozzles we're actually printing each scan line with for each of the colors. That allows us incredibly tight tolerances, basically offset tolerances, right? Sub-micron level color registration in both directions of the web, okay? So that's imaging, right? Obviously black, cyan, identical. The next module here, I'll just show you really quick, magenta and yellow, okay? So, importantly, on this device, and this is really why it's our flagship, right? The holy grail in inkjet has always been to print to offset coated sheets, basically direct drop to media, right? No pre-treatment, no coating or anything. So we were able to do that on this device, right? We can print to basically any paper-based substrate in the market. Two ways we do that, right? First of all, our inks are designed specifically to stick to those sheets without any pre-treatment at all, okay? Second of all, on our 70,000, we have a new proprietary drying system, right? All designed here in Boulder. So I'm gonna open the doors up and talk about this a little bit. The way we're able to dry those sheets up to the full speed of the device is basically our new drying system, right? So the way this works, and if you want to zoom in here to our web path, right, is we basically come in the device like this. We go through a series of hot rollers and air knives. And really what gives us that drying is that we come in here and we actually triple thread this, then around a big drum and then back out through the bottom of the device. It's that dwell time that allows us to dry those sheets at that high speed. What's great about that is we don't have to put a lot of heat back to the sheet. We don't have to stretch the fibers out of that sheet because it's really the dwell time. We're really only running about 100 degrees Celsius, right? So a lot less than say a toner device or something. Now, because of that, venting is required on this device. What that venting really does is it just pulls all that heat and evaporated ink out of the system so that we can dry. Now, in addition to those hot rollers, I mentioned air knives. These are really air dispersal units, right? Central channel is an air knife. It's jetting hot air down on the sheet. And then these channels actually evacuate that evaporated heat and stuff out of the engine, okay? Okay. So that's drying. Again, super proud of this, right? This was all designed here in Boulder, in our development labs, a ton of patents associated with this. And this is really what allows this device to be so powerful, okay? Now, the last section here I want to mention is where we have installed what we call the Ricoh Pro Scanner option, okay? So two things that this does for us, right? First of all, in continuous feed inkjet, right, we have to learn how to print to each type of substrate we load on the device, right? The way we do that is in two ways, right? We do one is alignment and one is uniformity, right? Alignment is making sure all our heads fire with the right timing so we can draw a straight line across the sheet. Uniformity is making sure they all fire with the same density so we don't get striping across the sheet, right? So with our new Pro Scanner, we're able to basically automate a ton of those tasks, right? So what we do is we basically load paper on the device. We can use our Pro Scanner to do two things. One, schedule those tasks. That includes paper setup and any maintenance tasks that we need to do on the device. And then the second thing is we have live closed loop web inspection, right? So we'll load the media on the device. My operators will schedule those tasks that they need to do the next day, and they'll schedule it for when they're not on shift yet, right? So basically they'll schedule it for like say 5 a.m., right? Those tasks will run. It will set up the paper for us. It will check for any jet outs, any print quality issues. It will clean those and intervene and make sure that the press and the web are ready to go. Then when my operator comes in, all he has to do is press start. Additionally, we can actually have that smart start function or that scheduling function start the press and start production before my operators get here, right? Basically, I don't have to do any maintenance tasks manually anymore, okay? Again, second thing this buys us is just full automated web inspection and real-time correction, right? What we call closed loop web inspection, okay? So this device will monitor, it will monitor that alignment or that color registration in both directions of the web. It will monitor your uniformity, that density between print heads, and it will monitor your jet outs, right? So if you have any flaws or things in your print. It can then either warn the device or warn the operator, say, hey, operator, I have something going on the web. You need to intervene. It can actually stop the device so you don't have, constantly running with less than par quality, or it can stop it and intervene and actually go in, redo those uniformities alignments, or clean those print heads if we need to. Okay, so that's very powerful. We use it all the time, right? So after the exit unit, obviously we're just going to flip the web, right? So we're just basically turning the sheet over, and then engine 2 is going to be identical to engine 1, right? Now in the middle, we do have a set of chiller rollers, right? So this device actually requires chilling in 3 places, at the rear of engine 1, the rear of engine 2, and then in between. The chillers in the exit unit of this device are actually just to protect our scanning components, right? The thing we use to set up paper to do all that, okay? The chilling units in between the engines are actually to make sure that we're printing with the same condition as we're going into engine 1 as we do going into engine 2, right? Obviously, we add some heat to the sheet with our dryer. As it comes out, if that heat was carried into engine 2, ink has a certain viscosity level, it would make that color control really hard, right? So we want to pull that heat off the sheet and then image with the same quality, right? Color consistency is incredible in inkjet. I did a 19 roll test here in the center for an offset customer. We measured first sheet off, right, 2G7. Then we measured last sheet off after 19 rolls. We had a delta E of less than 1, right? So color consistency is just incredible on these devices. I also, I always like to mention too, we just did the first continuous feed inkjet press G7 certification. Now in the US, G7 is basically like FOGA, right? It's the industry standard. We're able to do that color space certification using this device, meaning that we're hitting basically 100% of that G7 color space. So pretty incredible. Now, again, as I said, engine 2 is identical. The exception, we do have a barcode reading camera, right? Data integrity is incredibly important to us here. So engine 1 prints a barcode, right? Flips it over to engine 2, and then engine 2 reads that barcode in to make sure page 1 and page 2 data belongs together. Okay, so after we're done printing, obviously we partner with Tecnau, and Tecnau is talking about all their finishing solutions. Most all of those can be done in line while we're printing at full speed, right? We can really automate the process between the inks, the dryer, our Ricoh Pro scanner, and then our finishing partners. It's incredible how much automation we can bring to a print shop, and just how much just value we can bring, right? So with that, again, thank you guys so much for your time. Obviously, here in the Customer Experience Center, we can do print samples. We can do live demonstrations or virtual demonstrations. So please reach out to us. We're really happy to do anything you guys need us to do. With that, I'm going to kick it over to Tim Bolton again. He's going to talk about upcoming future products.
Thanks, Brian. Great crash course there on the VC70,000. So as Brian mentioned, there's a lot of capabilities out here in the Customer Experience Center. This is really fast and furious. The center is open, so we are accepting visitors. We'd love to have you guys out here, so reach out and let us know. But let's change gears a little bit. We're going to talk about an upcoming B2 sheet-fed inkjet device that we've got. Before I kind of get into this, I'm going to hand it back over to Mauricio. We've got a short video that we would like to get playing. We'll run that through there. It's just a little bit of a teaser video, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. And then we'll bounce back here and we'll have a little bit of dialogue on the press directly. So. Excellent. Thanks for that video there. So just like I said, just a little bit of a product teaser there. We're incredibly excited about the Pro Z75. I think Brian did a great job kind of demonstrating a lot of Ricoh technology that's existing in the continuous feed inkjet side, right? We've been in the inkjet business here at Ricoh for 45 plus years. And it's certainly a very logical next step for us to move into that sheet fed inkjet side. So let's talk through a little bit of specifications on this, a little bit of features. It's worth noting that the press really, like I was mentioning, is kind of it's a gathering of a lot of experience, a lot of engineering successes, and a lot of development efforts on our inkjet side of the business, where we're porting that into kind of this B2 sheet fed device, right? We're also bringing in a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge from our cut sheet toner side of the business, right? As we kind of bring those two together into this device. So really quick, just a little bit of positioning here. As you can see, the device is really targeted both, if we look at the bottom of the screen here, the traditional sheet fed toner side of the business with those B3 13x19 sheets, right? Giving them the opportunity to migrate into a larger sheet size for some better economies of scale, opening up some additional applications. And then from the top down, really, this is one of the main markets for us, right? Where we see with this device is that traditional commercial print offset world where they may have aging B1, B2, half size, full size presses, shorter and shorter runs, more and more demand for them into an inkjet device in a sheet size that they're familiar with, right? That half size press sheet. Additionally, there's certainly roles for this in the from the continuous feed side to support that, right? As we have some broader media capabilities here on the cut sheet side, right? Let me go back. One thing about over here is the packaging side. So just for clarity, we get asked this quite a bit. We're not specifically designing this press initially out of the gate as a packaging device. It is certainly capable of light packaging as we can print up to 24 points. But we're not really exactly completely focused on the packaging market out of the gate. So let's talk really quickly here, speeds and feeds, right? So 4,500 sheets per hour, that's a B2, 23 by 29, and that's in a straight printing, right? That's up to about 12 point at that 4,500 sheets per hour. And then when we move between 12 point and up to about 24 point, we have a slight reduction in speed to about 3,000 sheets per hour, right? And again, that's all in straight printing or simplex. So this is an auto duplexing or perfecting press. So obviously, as you can see, we kind of cut those speeds in half as we move from straight to duplexing and perfecting. Center column there, 1200 by 1200 DPI. So top tier print quality, really designed again to support all those demanding applications coming from your high-end toner side, coming from the commercial print offset side and the litho side, being able to support that, right? Aqueous-based pigment inks, similar to what Brian described on the Pro VC70000, right? We do have a next generation liquid cooled print head on this device, as well as all of the typical print quality attributes that you would expect for a device in this top tier caliber, right? On the right-hand side, right, this is a big 29,000 pound cast iron steel press, duty cycle up to about 2.5, 2.6 million 23 by 29 sheets monthly, right? And again, just a solid built press here. A few other capabilities and features here. It is a drawer fed press initially here, right? So we give you the option to add up to 4 different drawers for a total of about 10,000 sheets on board the press at any given time. All those drawers can be loaded on the fly. And then down the road here, not too far after launch, we'll introduce the additional pallet feeding unit, right? So you can drive full pallets of paper into the back, as well as have those 4 unique drawers. On the delivery side, on the left-hand side here, right, traditional pallet feed delivery there, right? So the capability to handle all that sheets that are coming through into the pallet delivery, as well as a top delivery tray. So for proofing purposes or for short runs, quick rush jobs that you're trying to interject, you can shoot those out up to the top there. So sheet size down the middle, 23 by 29, right? We talked about that. Flexibility down to an 11 by 17 sheet. So clearly this is a press designed to run that half size press sheet, that B1, but we do give you flexibility to run all the way down to an 11 by 17 to support some unique media, some unique substrates that you've got running through your shop. 400 GSM, right, on uncoated and coated, right? We're not doing any priming. We're not doing any pre-treating. We're printing directly to offset coated papers, right? And we're sheets that mic out up to about 0.6 millimeters, which is really about 24 point for us. So uncoated papers, inkjet treated, offset coated, right? As I mentioned, no priming, no pre-treatment, really taking that commodity sheet from one side of your house and being able to move it straight over into your digital. Controller, really quick. This is a joint development and engineering effort between Ricoh and EFI. So it will come to market with the look and feel that a lot of folks are familiar with from the EFI interface, but with some very specific and very unique capabilities for this particular device. So here we're going through a lot of content really quickly, and what we're showing you here is really what we call our ecosystem, and this is really a mechanism or a vehicle for us to stay engaged with you over the coming months as we get closer and closer to the launch and general availability of this product. Right, a lot more content on here, a lot more updates going on. This futuredefiningtechnology.com. I'd encourage you guys to go out there and take a look at that. You can get registered on that site so you can have access to this content as it's continuing to progress. So really with that, that's a quick summary of the Pro Z75. We're incredibly excited. We're going to hand this back over to Scott, who's going to kind of walk us through some Tecnau finishing, which is really specifically designed for this type of a press and this type of a market. Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Thanks for that introduction to the Pro Z75. I'll tell you, we at Tecnau are excited by the launch of this press and are looking forward to its availability. We'd now like to show you a finishing solution designed for processing, as Tim says, processing B2 sheets like those produced by the Z75. Tecnau Stack 1212 is a recently launched system which converts multi-up sheets as large as 21 by 29.5 into finished page sizes. And before we go any further, actually, hang on, I see the video is just kind of kicking in here, so I'm gonna pause for a second here, but I'll say, as the camera pans, I want you to notice the overall size of the Stack 1212. The system, as shown, only takes up about 100 square feet, which is a much more compact footprint than competitive solutions. So take a look as you see the camera panning there, and you can see the size of the system is not huge. That small footprint is owing to a space-efficient straight line configuration with no right angle turns like you'd see in some other offerings out in the marketplace. Later, we're gonna, by the way, discuss another benefit of that straight line configuration. So Stack 1212 cuts, trims, and outputs multi-up offset sheets into an exit conveyor for easy removal. The system easily converts press sheets into postcards, books, manuals, brochures, letters, and transactional documents and more, producing finished documents as small as 4 by 5 inches without guillotine cutting. So we're running here an 8-up automotive postcard application that Ricoh has inkjet printed for us on a 250 GSM Fred satin stock. We'll be working with Ricoh in the future as the press launches to ensure that beautiful printed applications like this, as you see here on the table, are reliably handled by the Stack 1212 with no damage to the print. So let's take a look at the system running. At the front end of the Stack 1212, you see one of our 2 feeder options. Now this is basically just a simple high pile, less expensive high pile feeder that accepts an input stack as tall as 4,580 GSM sheets or just under 5,000 20-pound bond sheets. Alternatively, but not shown, we've got a pallet feeder available. That offers, of course, the convenience of being able to load a pallet of paper as tall as 4 feet directly into the Stack 1212 with no manual offload. Next, we move on to the alignment section as we see here. Here, sheets are aligned before entering the cutter. And now I'd like to harken back to the statement that I made earlier about the other advantages to the straight line configuration. This means we only need to align once for precisely registered sheets throughout the line, which makes, of course, for extremely accurate cutting and trimming. After the alignment section, we come to the Cutter C12 module there on the right side of the screen, including 2 crosscut cartridges and a side trim gutter cut cartridge. The cut lengths within the sheet, across the direction of travel change based on the job info. Side trims are adjusted manually in less than a minute. If you change from having gutters to not having gutters, or changing the location of the gutters and slits, that may require a cartridge swap, but that's a quick and easy process that again takes less than a minute. So I'd like to offer a quick word here on the semi-automated approach that we're showing here as we look at the ways, or as I talk about the ways to move from one application to another. Tecnau in the past has offered fully automated solutions that for this kind of environment. But we found that though it sounds like a great idea, and indeed it may be a great idea for certain customers, but we found that many printing firms kind of get left out in the cold due to the high cost of the automation technology involved. So what we're offering here is something that I call right-sized automation, where we bring in automation where we can economically offer it. So here again, we see cut sheets entering the Stacker S12 module, gliding smoothly onto a building stack. Now, the first thing to notice here is that there is a stacker, and there actually is a conveyor. No shortcut here of just delivering stacks onto a tray, where an operator must remove that tray, that stack from the tray before it reaches capacity and shuts the system down. Here, each job can be delivered to the conveyor one at a time, or individually offset within a larger stack, or the system can deliver when the operator program stack height is reached, or the system can deliver when the maximum stack height of 10 inches is achieved. So while we continue to watch the system running, I'd like to answer a possible question that might occur to you as you consider adding a Stack 1212. Maybe you're not entirely comfortable investing in a newly launched system, and you're wondering if this will go in smoothly and reliably to work with your different applications. So while this is a newly configured system to address a need that's risen in the marketplace, the individual feeder, cutter, stacker modules are all well-proven designs that are previously offered in other contexts, such as our Stack 1010, which we've been offering for some time to handle sheets up to about 14 by 20 inches. And that system consists of slightly smaller modules built on the same design platform. So the lessons there have been applied here. You can rest comfortably that this will be a good system, reliable system for your operation. So now we've been taking a look at control panel functions. So Ugo's been highlighting some of the user-friendly technology that's built into our control panel. Initially, we've seen him taking a look at a list of predefined jobs. He's selected a job and made use of the intuitive graphic interface to slightly tweak that job. Now he's taking a look at some maintenance functions, and you'd seen him earlier looking at a list of counters where he can receive prompts that certain parts maybe are reaching the end of their expected lifespan. And right now, Ugo's been demonstrating the production data section of the interface, which is obviously a useful management tool to give managers an insight into how their operation is running. So quickly, I'd like to summarize some of the key specs that I've not really talked about yet, including speed. Stack 1212 speeds range from 3,300 to 6,000 input sheets per hour, with the number of crosscuts within the sheet, or the amount of frontal or tail trim, or the starting sheet size. Those are the different criteria that determine what that ultimate speed is. We don't care about the number of colors. We don't care whether sheets are printed simplex or duplex. So there's a good potential to potentially support multiple presses with the Stack 1212. Paper weights range from 70 to 350 GSM and impositions from 1 up to 21 up. Before we wrap this up, I'd like to introduce you to an optional component for the Stack 1212. And that was not, of course, that waste bin that we just saw in operation, but instead it's the extractor V20 drag conveyor. I can't show the V20 to you because we don't have it in our demo area. But as you'd suspect, it's a drag conveyor, which basically transports output up to and away from the unit and dumps it in a Gaylord box for easy removal by the operator. I would frankly recommend this option in most environments which are running bleed print. So what are the key takeaways here? First, we've just seen here in the last few seconds a great view of our cartridge-based cutter C10, which again makes for those easy job changeovers. But getting away from features to why you'd actually bring this in the first place, of course, the main value proposition here is the ability to eliminate offline guillotining and free up your operators for other tasks. We saw the powerful control panel, which offers a tool for both operators and managers. Before we close off, I'd like to talk a little bit about competitive positioning. Of course, we started off the whole video here by looking at the small size of the footprint for the Stack 1212, and I think that remains a very key factor in considering what's the right solution for your environment. And we talked about the availability of the stacker and the conveyor, which not all systems offer. We talked about the easy job changeovers with the right-sized automation. And of course, right-sized automation really is a code word maybe for a lower price. And indeed, the Stack 1212's price is advantageous compared to the competition. The Stack 1212 starting price is right around $250,000. And so what we recommend is get involved with your Tecnau representative to take a look at your environment and see what would be the right solution match for your environment with a appropriate proposal. That's about all we've got here for the Stack 1212. Thanks for listening in and appreciate your time. I'm going to hand it over to Pete Dolphus, and Pete's going to give you an introduction to the Libre 800.
Thank you, Scott, and to Ricoh for presenting your innovative printing solutions, and welcome back to the Tecnau Experience Center. I'm Pete Dolphus, and I'll be taking you through the Libre 800, where you'll see how these VC 70,000 printed rolls of G-Print 90 GSM stock being finished into soft-covered, perfect-bound books that are 3-knife trimmed and fully ready for distribution using our unique Libre 800 bookmaking system. As we walk you around the system, let me give you a general overview of the line and its features and capabilities before we get into the live demonstration. Libre 800 is an extremely flexible platform for book printers, allowing them to produce short-run and even unique books of one. By books of one, we mean that each book can be different from the next in spine length, spine to face dimension, and spine thickness. The system is fully automated and makes on-the-fly adjustments for the book parameters, with all settings being driven and verified by data matrix codes. So an operator is not required for format changeovers or adjustments. It can produce 800 soft cover perfect bound books per hour with spine thicknesses from 2 millimeters to 60 millimeters. Where bookbinding is normally a time-consuming and labor-intensive process, with several independent steps requiring multiple operators, the Libre 800 integrates these steps into a single production process, and with its automation, can even be managed by a single operator. Not only will the overall process time be significantly reduced, but due to the flexibility of the system, you'll no longer have to batch production runs by book size, book thickness, or even book paper type, and instead can process them on a customer by customer or job by job basis. Let's go a little deeper into the details and options of the Libre 800 line. The Libre 800 is very customizable for your specific needs and applications. What we're showing here today is just one configuration option for the line, but there are many. Tecnau's unique multi-channel input uses either our stream folder for plow folded book blocks, or our 2-up slip merge module, or a manual feeding station, or any pair of these at the same time. With slip merge, the web cutting system has the capability of precise page separation, allowing books to be paginated in multiples of 2 pages instead of multiples of 4 pages, limiting the number of blank sides in a finished book to a single side of a single sheet of paper. The stream folder input option excels with lightweight substrates such as groundwood, financial, and even Bible paper, providing flat, well-registered, and stable book blocks ready to enter the binding process. The Libre 800 is a 4-clamp carousel binder that has adhesive options of PUR, traditional EVA hot melt, and even a new hybrid adhesive called metallocene, which is a PUR-like hot melt. The binder can be configured to use multiple adhesives for different jobs, and switching from one type to another is very fast and easy with the new adhesive changeover system. During the binding process, adhesive is applied to both the spine of the book and the cover courtesy score positions, resulting in a high-quality finished book block. Another great benefit of the Libre 800 is that it's capable of producing books with 4 different types of covers, all from the same binding solution. It can do traditional soft cover perfect binding. It can do a gate-folded soft cover option that simulates a case-bound book jacket, a no-cover option with the metallocene adhesive I mentioned, and the most unique cover option of all, the false cover for case-bound books. With the false cover option, a combined end sheet is custom manufactured for each individual book block and then applied to the binder. With the optional dual channel cover feeder, covers for each input are kept uniquely sequenced and separated, so it does not matter to the system what the ratio of books from each input source are. Covers are also pre-trimmed and scored as they are fed to the binder. This allows the system to place the cover more accurately onto the book block and provide a higher quality finished book. The book blocks pass through a cooling tower on the way from the binder to the trimmer, allowing for 12 minutes of adhesive setup time before the book is handled again. Next, the books enter the Libra variable trimmer for final book trimming. In the first station, the face trim is performed. Then the book advances to the second station, where parallel head and foot knives finish the spine height of the books. As the trim books exit the Libra VT, there is also an option for a multi-level conveyor that can sort books by size, by order number, by input channel, etc. to make the pick-pack process more efficient. Books are now finished and ready to be packed and shipped. You'll now see the system running, and I'll walk you through the various sections we've just reviewed. The normally interlocked safety covers are open in order to allow a good view of what's happening inside the system. The system starts with the center shaft drive U10 unwinder. It has an integrated outfeed dancer assembly for smooth and precise feeding of the Ricoh printed 2-up web. As the web exits the unwinder, it passes through the vacuum loops and into the center slitting module, then through a divided vacuum box that controls the web flow, now that it's essentially 2 separate mini webs. Next, it's processed by an angled bar slip merge assembly. The angled bars merge the 2 webs into alignment, and you'll notice the webs are managed independently before coming together at the rotary knife assembly. The reason for this is because the Libra 800, being a book of one solution, has the capability to advance either one side of the web, which would be 2 book pages, or both sides of the web for 4 book pages to limit the number of blank sheets in each book, reducing paper waste and click charges. The Libra 800 system can be configured with a stream folder instead of the slip merge in order to construct book blocks from 2-up, 3-up, or 4-up plow-folded signatures instead of from merged cut sheets. The momentary pause you see is the break between books as the book assembly module delivers the completed book blocks to the binder in-feed raceway. Book pages or signatures are jogged as they're being assembled, then delivered to the binder in-feed, where they're jogged again in both directions, making sure the pages are well registered and the blocks are square. Between the assembly station and the in-feed to the carousel binder, the side conveyor you see here is the manual book in-feed station. The system also has reject stations throughout for removal of damaged or mismatched book blocks or covers from the process, reducing stoppages and improving productivity. In looking at the book blocks, take note of the excellent cut tolerance and page registration achieved by the system as the books advance through the process. This next device handles book thickness verification and rotation if necessary, for proper spine orientation into the binding clamp. From here, the book block is clamped, translated from a horizontal to vertical orientation so it can be transferred into the pneumatic binding clamp. The binder clamp opens fully for each book block, ensuring a smooth entry of the book, even if some page curl is present. The spine plate of the clamp assembly also vibrates to do additional jogging of the critical spine side before the book block is processed through the binder. Once the book block is clamped, it's held securely until the binding process is completed. The book passes over the spine milling assembly, which grinds the sheets or signatures so they are even on the spine edge and more receptive to the binding adhesive. Adhesive options on the Libra 800 are traditional EVA hot melt, PUR polyurethane, or a metallocene, which is a newer generation adhesive that has similar characteristics to PUR with respect to bind strength and heat resistance, but is actually a hot melt. It also enables the Libra 800 to perform a coverless perfect bind as another configuration option. Here you see the adhesive being applied to the book block and the cover being bound onto the book. Covers are pre-trimmed to within 5 millimeters of the raw book block height, as this allows for more accurate cover positioning onto the book blocks. As they are fed from the cover feeder to the binder, they are also cross-scored for the spine and courtesy cover scores. This results in a better quality bind on the book, and if using UV coated instead of laminated covers, prevents cracking of the UV coating. If you watch closely, you can see the cover incrementally pause to receive the individual scores as it's being delivered to the binder. The system has an option for a dual channel cover feeder like you see here. With the multiple input options, this setup allows true book of one production for work coming from 2 input rolls or a single input roll and a manual feed book block station. All the covers in the channel A feeder are sequenced for the book work coming from the channel A input, while all the covers in the channel B feeder are sequenced for the work coming from the channel B input. With this configuration, it does not matter the mix of how many books come from a single input source versus the other input source, as the covers are kept separate and the 2D tells the cover feeder from which input channel the book block was generated, so it can feed the cover from the corresponding cover channel. From the binder, an articulated hand receives the book block from the carousel and gently places it onto the conveyor. This method is used to ensure a book block is not dropped on the spine, which can twist it before the adhesive has had a chance to set up. Here you can see the covers feeding off the cover feeders, being processed through the scoring and trimming module. Coming out of the carousel binder at the entrance of that green conveyor is where the articulated hand I mentioned is. So it actually goes up, receives the book block, and gently lays it down onto that conveyor. From here, the books pass through the Helix cooling tower, which provides for 12 minutes of adhesive setup time before the book is handled again. Note how the cover is just slightly oversized to the raw book block dimension with respect to the spine length. This is from the pre-trimming process as the cover is fed to the binder and makes cover placement more accurate. As the books exit the cooling tower, their barcode is scanned so the Libra VT for variable trimmer can set up to do the 3-knife finish trim on the books. The first station is the face trim, after which the book advances to the second station, where 2 parallel knives perform the head and the foot trim on the book block. With the gate-folded cover option I mentioned, where the folds of the cover need to extend beyond the face cut of the finished book in order to preserve the proper look of a case-bound book, a special fly trimmer is integrated into the line for the face trim. As the book enters the trimmer, the front and back cover flaps are guided away from the face of the book block, so the face cut can be performed without cutting through the folds. Then they're laid back into position and the book exits the trimmer. What you have now is a bound and trimmed finished book block ready for distribution. The Tecnau Libre 800 allows you to fulfill a true POD production concept. No stock, no spoilage, no need for out-of-print titles due to low demand. You can print in the order you want because the system automatically handles size changes, so you can print by customer, by publisher, by area, or shipping address, basically in any sequence that makes your sorting and distribution process more efficient. The Libre 800 is the solution for reducing turnaround time, improving finished book quality, all while making the book production process more efficient. Tecnau's Libre 800 system is extremely flexible, from the various input options to the types of adhesives it can support, as well as the types of covers it can manufacture and process. Each Libre 800, although built on the same principles and main modules, is slightly different and customized to fit your individual requirements. The system also has IoT connectivity, enabling remote access for online service support, remote diagnostics, production data, capture and reporting, as well as other benefits. Thanks for joining us today to explore the Libre 800 and what it can do for your production environment. Combined with the Ricoh high-speed VC 70,000 press, you can see what a powerful and productive combination they can be. I'll now turn things back over to Morten for a question and answer session.
Well, I am, as usual, blown away what technology can offer us these days. So thank you, everybody, both from the Tecnau team and from the Ricoh team. And I can't help thinking about a little European joke, just because I thought you were introducing another machine than the one we saw in the US, because you say not Z75, but C75, but it is the same machine, just in case nobody should, if somebody should be wondering about that, of course. We have some questions here, so why don't we just dig in directly to it? And for the audience, you're more than welcome to ask questions, and then we will bring them up here so our panelists can answer the questions, of course. I think the first question is to Mike Harrell. Mike, the bike catalog that we saw in the presentation here, of course, you can do variable page counts when you do these things. What about having different formats in the same job? Is that something that is possible to do to make the best use out of the VC70000, for example?
Yeah, so well, first, Morten, I have to address something. There are some of us in the company that call it the Z75, and then there are some of us in the company that call it the Z75. So there is a bit of a mix there. So
I was actually actually say so. I was actually wondering because I think that there's some dialect that implies that you're not all Americans, right?
Yeah,
This is correct.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, but okay, but we now understand that it is one machine. Though I was actually told in the European session that it is delivered with two different like standard formats for the US size formats and for the European formats, right?
Yeah, it is, because there is some slight variation in the size of B2, especially if you look at, so B2 is a standard format size. With B2 Plus, there's some variance in how B2 Plus is defined around the world, and because of that, there's different ways that we'll sort of manage that format size. And I think, Morten, you were asking a question about formats on the VC70000 as well too, and certainly yes, we can support a variety of format sizes, and we worked on some new implementations and new capabilities that will support more variance and more variation within job runs as well too. So Tim, I don't know if you want to add to that as well.
Yeah, I think you hit it, Mike. But as you said, we are supporting variable page length on the VC70000, which I believe was the core of the question. If I missed that,
it was answered. But I was just thinking, sometimes it's really nice to get things, cut in paper so we understand what we're talking about, right?
Yep, absolutely.
I take that you're pretty excited about all these changes that you see in the commercial print space right now, because I've never seen a better time to consider exchanging your analog equipment to digital, right?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. If you look at the innovations that we've made in terms of quality and speed that you've seen that Brian and Tim have taken you through today, not just in the existing product set, but things that we've got coming in the future, we're really, really excited about the capabilities that we're offering customers. And if you look at what our existing customers have done, even through the pandemic over the past 18 months, we've really noticed a massive uptick in production volumes and in consumption. So these applications that are going on these platforms are really, really growing, and customers are really starting to leverage the capabilities of these high quality, high speed solutions to get good products to the right people at the right time in the marketplace. So we are very excited about what we're able to do now and to help drive customers with in terms of change and new innovation for their applications.
And the next question is maybe for both Tecnau and Ricoh here, because I was just thinking that if you let's say that you're a commercial printer and you watch this and you are used to work in a cut sheet space, is this something to be concerned about? I mean, if you have the volume for the VC70000 and you may be more comfortable because all the binding options and the standard finishing options, things like that, is that a concern for a printer to go from analog cut sheet to roll-based digital?
Well, I think there's a lot of things to consider when you go from cut sheet to continuous, certainly volume driven, but there's so many efficiencies and so many gains that you have when you can make that transition. It starts with understanding the processes that go along with it. Certainly Ricoh and Tecnau can help you with those things. But
I'm sure you can, right?
Absolutely. But examining the entire process, looking at legacy processes as you move through this can give you a huge advantage, a competitive advantage in the future. So, we stand shoulder to shoulder with Ricoh in doing those analysis for customers, but we see great benefit. However, we both still offer solutions for both a cut sheet. So I think there's a role for both, and it's understanding what fits your business requirements best.
So when Ricoh now introduced the C75 printer here, I was just wondering, is it because you identify that there is somebody who needs a cut sheet still, or is it more like from application to application, or why is there a need for both cut sheet and roll based or continuous?
So Mike, I can probably take that. So really, as we touched on a little bit with the Z75, you do get some expanded kind of media support, right? So where the VC70,000 from a weight perspective is topping out around 10 point, the Z75 gives you capability all the way up to 24 point, right? So some applications that are very more specific. And then there's the question about volumes, right? About the right applications on the right device, right? Whereas the volume capabilities of this device versus the volume capabilities of the Z75 are really kind of different answers for different questions. But they're all giving you that same level of print quality, variable data support, right? All those types of things. So there's absolutely a role for both in a lot of environments.
And I can't help think about since Drupa 2016, where everybody was talking about, all the offerings that were presented from a lot of different vendors. I think that the competition has now shown that cut sheet digital, especially with inkjet, is now a viable alternative to almost anything in the market, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think another important point here is some of the, we're focused very much on the hardware piece of it here and whether it's the right piece of hardware. One of the areas that we have great expertise and skills in is actually being able to go and work with our clients and understand what the impact is to their business and to their workflow, to their pre-press department, and how they migrate it. Because it's not just a case as simple as saying, hey, you should be on a roll fed. It truly is about how the end-to-end processes within that client are going to have to transform to go from essentially analog to digital. And that's a really big piece. But if you've got all of the hardware that can adapt to either environment, then it puts you in a really strong position to bring even greater value to our clients.
And Jeff, I was also thinking that if, let's say that you are a printing company that already have analog equipment, but also maybe B2 binding equipment, an option could to buy a VC70,000 and have a cut stacker on it. So you basically end up having sheets that you can finish the way that you would normally do it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, a lot of the clients that we're talking to are getting really excited about the combination of the VC70 and the 75. The 70 is clearly going to give them great quality. Well, both will give them great quality, but the VC70 is going to give them that real high performance of the applications and the workload that fit this. But there are some of those legacy sheet fed, those larger size sheets that you just can't transform very easily onto a narrower roll fed web. And they're really getting very excited about both pieces of hardware technology together forming a really, really good combination to help them with their analog to digital transformation, and yet they're not having to throw everything up in the air. A lot more fits, the cost of entry and the disruption of entry works a lot smoother for them. So it's a really exciting technical combination, a 1-2 if you like, which is getting a lot of traction from our clients right now.
Sure. And Jeff from Tecnau, what is your view on this one?
Well, I think, as Phil said earlier, I think the critical point here is really going in and understanding the customer's environment, their business. I mean, we really take the time to understand how they do business. Is a cut sheet solution, a continuous solution, or both best for the business? And we spend a great deal of time analyzing the processes that they use from start to finish. That's why we continue to invest quite heavily in the cut sheet product portfolio, as well as the continuous product portfolio. And there's really a group of solutions that we find customers find value in both. And, size drives it. You have, critical SLAs. So it's not a one size fit all solution for customers. We really have to have a great deal of flexibility in terms of our solutions, the media, the sizes that we can handle that support both cut sheet and continuous.
Makes sense. I was thinking, I think it was maybe a question from earlier, and maybe you touched upon it in the presentation from Ricoh. a question was like, is the print heads on the VC70,000 and the C75 is that the same technology, or is it two different technologies?
So yeah, I'll take that. So they are two different technologies, but they're very much based on kind of the same core components. The Z75 has some kind of next generation capabilities that are specific to what that product is designed to do. But at the heart, it's a Ricoh piezo-based printhead technology across the board.
Fantastic. We got one more question here, I think. Yeah, it's David Baldry. He's asking, has there been any testing on synthetic substrates like Synapse on the B2C75 press? If not, are there any plans to do so? And you know, the machine is not in market right now, but of course, I take that you're quite curious about to test what kind of substrates it can produce excellent print on, right?
Yeah. Well, it's nice to hear from David. That's for sure. It's great. So David, hi David. Both Bill and I know David. Tim does as well too. So good to hear that David's out there listening today, and appreciate the question. So yeah, we are kind of going through that process of final testing and evaluation of the system, and we have not done a lot of work with synthetics at this point. But the good news is what Tim just explained to you about the print heads is these Ricoh print heads that we're using in both the 70,000 and the Z75 and other products as well too are extremely flexible, which means we can drive a lot of different fluid types in these print heads or through these print heads. So when we kind of look at the long-term capability of a new product like the Z75 or the Z75, whichever you want to call it, there is a lot of future capability that will be there because we'll be able to change the fluids, we'll be able to drive a lot of different substrates through the system. So we're very, very encouraged about what we will be able to do once we get this solution into the marketplace. We start really building out the capability alongside our early adopter customers with it. And so I think the future is really bright for this particular platform in terms of its flexibility going forward.
And we had some good success on synthetics recently on some of our other platforms. So it's very encouraging that we've made some good success on those synthetics. And there's no reason to believe that once the Z75 is a little more prevalent in the marketplace and we extend the testing of the substrates out, we have no reason to believe that wouldn't be something that works.
Right. That of course makes sense. I remember one question from the European session that I found quite interesting, and that was a question that if you have a VC70,000 and a Tecnau binding setup, is there any plans, or is it possible to have like a unified control of both the binding and the printing engines from the DFE, for example?
Yeah, there certainly could be. I mean, there's the one thing that I think I've really appreciated over the past couple of years is that between myself and our team and Jeff and the Tecnau team is both of our R&D teams have become much more integrated, might be the right word, in terms of talking about where both products and both companies are going, where they're headed in the future. And so the dialogue is very open in terms of opportunities to collaborate as we head out into the future. And I think those kind of things are absolutely on the table of what we will discuss and look at as we go forward, is better integration, better automation, better artificial intelligence platforms between the organizations, because our mutual customers will benefit from those capabilities. So I personally am very excited about the progress we've made, and again, getting our technical teams together far in advance of new products coming in the marketplace. And I think we're really encouraged by what that will mean for our collective customer base in the coming months and years, for sure.
And extending a little bit on this to you, Jeff, I think that a lot of printing companies are facing more and more difficulties finding skilled staff also in the binding environment. Do you do anything particular in Tecnau to make automation easier, to use technology to help the DSPs to basically do even complex binding jobs with maybe lesser skilled people?
Sure. And I think you've seen some of those today. One thing we do at Tecnau, I think that's unique to Tecnau, is that we really offer a variety of solutions that are sized to the types of automation that customers need. And we offer some ticket printers, for example, ticket cutters that are totally manual, inexpensive, all the way through that you saw today, the Libre 800, which is automated. I mean, an operator doesn't touch the book. as it's being manufactured. You get literally a finished book out, starting from a roll of paper or a cut sheet. So we have a variety of solutions, and that's really driven by the customer requirements, because of course, as you heard from Scott earlier today, it's really finding that solution that fits the customer's environment, their cost structures, and really what they have today as their legacy systems. And we do those analysis for customers every day, and we would love to engage any customer who would like to have that discussion with us.
I am sure you are, all of you. So, gentlemen, it was a fantastic presentation. It was really good answers to the questions that came from the audience. And I would like to thank you very much for me allowing me to be moderator and host on this event. It has been very, very funny, and it's been very educating for me, and I'm sure the audience feel the same way. The final words from you, Jeff, before we just have the final words from the Ricoh team. So has it been a good day for you?
It has, and thanks again for hosting, being our moderator today. Thanks to the Ricoh team. They're great partners, and we appreciate their participation. And most importantly, thanks to our customers and our prospective customers for watching today. I hope you found the presentations informative, and they help you with your decision making in the future. And we look forward to working with you and helping you with your finishing and feeding needs. Thanks again.
I'm sure. And back to Boulder.
Well, thank you. And Jeff, I'm not just going to regurgitate everything that Jeff said. We really, when Tecnau and Ricoh work together, those customers know that they've got a really committed team to making all aspects of any engagement, from software to hardware install, and most importantly, driving it as a project through to make sure that the customer gets the end results. And when Tecnau and Ricoh work together on these projects, it's a really powerful team. So all of the other good thank yous that Jeff said, I'm reiterating that, but as a team, we work really well, and it's to our customers' advantages. And Morten, thanks very much for hosting today.
My pleasure, and let me say goodbye and thank you, and take care of yourself out there, and remember to get back to your local representatives from both Tecnau and Ricoh, because they can tell you way more than that was possible in this 1.5 hours. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful day ahead of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.